女士们、先生们，大家下午好！欢迎出席国务院新闻办新闻发布会。今天我们非常高兴邀请到商务部部长王文涛先生、商务部国际贸易谈判代表兼副部长王受文先生、副部长郭婷婷女士，请他们为大家介绍稳中求进、以进促稳、推动商务高质量发展取得新突破有关情况，并回答大家关心的问题。下面我们首先请王文涛先生做介绍。
女士们、先生们、朋友们，大家下午好。
Ladies and gentlemen, friends of the press, good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure to be at the State Council Information Office press conference to brief you on the commerce work in 2023 and plans to implement the Central Economic Work Conference instructions in 2024. First, on behalf of the Ministry of Commerce, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to you all for your long-term care, support, and attention to commerce work. In 2023, under the firm leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Commerce CGTN at its core, we resolutely implemented the decisions of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council, worked in unison, and overcome the difficulties. Throughout the year, commerce operations remained stable and new progress was made in high-quality development. Let me summarize that in 3 keywords. Number 1, stability. Commerce work encompasses consumption, investment, and net export, the 3 main engines of economic growth. In terms of consumption, total retail sales hit a record high. In 2023, 82.5% of the economic growth was attributable to final consumption expenditure. In terms of foreign trade, trading goods registered positive growth in RMB terms on an already high base. China's share in global export remained at around 14%. In terms of two-way investment, actual utilization of FDI was the 3rd highest on record. Outbound non-financial direct investment increased by 16.7% in RMB terms. Overall stability in these areas contributed to economic recovery and growth domestically. Number 2, optimization. Particularly in terms of the economic structure and the quality and substance of development. In terms of consumption, online retail sales increased by 11%, maintaining rapid growth. Retail sales of services increased by 20%, showing huge potential. In terms of foreign trade, intermediary products accounted for 61.1%, staying at the record level. Foreign trade of the private sector accounted for half of the national total at 53.1%, 3.1 percentage points higher. In terms of foreign investment, FDI in high-tech and manufacturing sectors accounted for rising share. In terms of outbound investment, manufacturing, wholesale, and retail grew faster than the average level. Cooperation in green, digital, and blue investment kept expanding. Number 3, empowerment. Some areas were empowered by new growth drivers. Online retail sales accounted for a record 27.6% in total retail sales. Green, health, smart, and China chic, namely trending domestic brands, are very popular, becoming new consumption highlights. Exports of automobiles increased by more than 50%, and exports via cross-border e-commerce increased by 19.6%, both becoming new growth drivers of foreign trade. The number of newly established foreign investment enterprises increased by 39.7%, reflecting the enthusiasm foreign investors to share in China's new opportunities. In some other areas, we have made new progress, new breakthroughs, and new firsts. Negotiations were concluded on the WTO's Agreement on Investment Facilitation for Development, the first major topic initiated by China at the WTO. China signed new FTAs or upgraded existing FTAs with 4 countries, including Nicaragua. China also released its first initiative for stronger international trade and economic cooperation in the digital economy and green development, which was welcomed by more than 30 countries and international organizations. This year marks the 75th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China and a critical year to realize the goals and objectives of the 14th Five-Year Plan. MOFCOM will work under the guidance of Xi Jinping thought for socialism with Chinese characteristics in a new era, fully implement the essence of the 20th CPC National Congress and the second plenary session of the 20th CPC Central Committee, and the instructions of the Central Economic Work Conference and Central Conference on work relating to foreign affairs, and uphold the 3 important roles of commerce work. We will pursue continuous expansion of consumption, reinforce the stable performance of foreign trade and foreign investment to make new contributions to Chinese modernization. Next, my colleagues and I are ready to take your questions. Thank you. Thank you, Minister Wang. Next, we move on to the Q&A session. Please identify yourself first. Thank you. From the paper, in 2023, China's foreign trade reached 41.76 trillion RMB, showing strong resilience. International organizations project greater uncertainties for world trade in 2024. What's your view on China's foreign trade in 2024, and what policies will MOFCOM take to stabilize foreign trade? Thank you for your question. Last year, under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee, we have taken measures on policies, business entities, and markets, and worked in a proactive and targeted manner to ensure overall stability in foreign trade. Our total foreign trade reached 41.76 trillion RMB, and we worked really hard to achieve the target of stability and stabilizing and improving foreign trade. Compared with previous years, on the high base of 2022, our foreign trade registered a positive growth of 0.2%. Compared with the pre-pandemic level in 2019, foreign trade increased by more than 30%. Like I said, China's share in global exports has remained at a high level at around 14%. Globally speaking, according to UNCTAD estimates, in 2023, global trading goods decreased by 7.5%. In comparison, China's foreign trade outperformed the global level and the majority of major economies. And in structural terms, foreign trade made 2 breakthroughs. First, the export of new energy vehicles, solar panels, and lithium-ion batteries exceeded 1 trillion RMB, representing a growth of nearly 30%. This reflects continuous optimization of our export mix. Second, the number of business entities with foreign trade records crossed the 600,000 mark and reached 645,000. This shows that the base of foreign trade entities is also growing and optimizing. On our outlook for 2024, which is a topic of interest, this year we will face more complex and challenging external situations. The first is weak demand. The global economy is expected to remain sluggish. The IMF estimates that global economic growth will decrease to 2.9%. The second is an unfavorable environment. Protectionism is rising, and escalating geopolitical conflicts will create rising spillovers. The recent disruption in the Red Sea shipping lanes disrupted international trade. Still, we should also be aware of the favorable conditions for China's foreign trade development. Industrial competitiveness has been on the rise. New business models and types are flourishing. And digital and green transformation are advancing at a faster pace. We are confident to implement the instructions of the Central Economic Conference and reinforce the stable performance in foreign trade and foreign investment. We will work in the following aspects. First, we will roll out new policies. The earlier the policies are rolled out, the greater effects they will have. As early as in April last year, we published opinions on stabilizing and optimizing foreign trade, which has had good outcomes. Based on the new situations and new tasks this year, we will also explore new policies. Previously, we went through the recommendations and needs of local governments and businesses, and we are conducting a new round of policy exploration. We will work to roll these policies out so as to combine new policies with existing policies to amplify their effect. Second, we will nurture new growth drivers. We will enhance industry competitiveness based on the China's strength of a complete industrial base and a complete manufacturing sector. We will expand trade in raw materials, components, and intermediary products. We will invigorate innovation, grow new business types such as cross-border e-commerce, bonded maintenance, and market procurement. We will also advance reform by formulating a catalog of green and low-carbon products for import and export, and accelerate digital transformation and adoption of digital trade documents to advance digital transformation of trade. Third, we will explore new markets. There's a saying in foreign trade business to the effect that one face-to-face meeting is worth 1,000 emails. We will continue to hold Canton fairs and CIFTIS and help our businesses to attend overseas expositions and facilitate cross-border movement of business trips to help businesses access markets, clients, and orders. Fourth, we will unleash new potential in imports. Market is the most valuable resource. China's supersized market provides vast market and huge opportunity for businesses from across the world. We will expand imports of quality consumer products, advanced technologies, major equipment, critical components, energy and resource products, and farm products in short domestic supply. Make good use of exhibitions and platforms such as the China International Import Expo to expand our import channels. We will also facilitate import trade and grow demonstration zones for promotion of imports. By doing so, we aim to build China's supersized market into one shared by the world and inject new impetus into national economy and global economic recovery.
这边第4排那位外国记者，对，彭博。
My question is about FDI. Last year, the government announced 24 policies to boost foreign direct investment. However, the head of Japan's Chamber of Commerce said recently that apart from personal income tax benefits and faster visa processing, there's been no progress on any of the other items in this list. There were new rules announced on data transfers, but there's been no details announced on that yet. So my question is, what specific steps will MOFCOM take this year to allay the real and growing concerns of foreign businesses about the business environment in China? And please tell us in as much detail as possible. Thank you.
好，请翻译一下。
彭博新闻社记者提问：我的问题有关于中国的外资。之前中国政府出台了关于扩大吸引外资力度的24条政策。近期，日本商会有关人士表示， 中国政府在确保个人所得税减免以及便利签证申请方面已经做了一些工作，然而目前还有其他领域的具体事项尚未落实。此外，关于跨境数据传输新规，目前也没有更进一步细化的规则。我的问题是，请问商务部目前打算采取哪些具体措施解决企业的上述关切？
好，这个问题还是我来回答吧。去年呢，国务院印发了就是你提到的关于进一步优化外商投资环境
Like you mentioned, last year the State Council published the opinions on further optimizing the foreign investment environment and stepping up efforts to attract foreign investment. After the release of the policy, MOFCOM worked with related localities and departments to refine the tasks and identified specific measures and timetable through press conferences and FIE's roundtable. We provided communications and readings, and lots of you were also involved in very extensive report and communication. So we have simultaneous interpreting, so I will continue. So you asked about the implementation. Let me share with you some information. The 24-point guidelines includes 59 policies. Overall, in the past 5 months, we worked with related departments and worked hard to press ahead with the policies. Over 60% of the policy measures have been implemented or made positive progress. More specifically, of the 59 items, 10 items have been completed. 28 items have seen initial results. 21 items are being implemented, so altogether 59 items. You mentioned the tax-exempt benefits for foreigners and also tax rebates for the procurement of homemade equipment by foreign R&D agencies. These policies have been extended to the end of 2027. And besides, the new foreigner permanent resident ID card has been officially launched. And the guidelines on work and life for foreign business personnel in China has also been introduced, making travel, life, and consumption easier for expats in China. You also mentioned the rules for regulating and promoting cross-border data transfer. Competent authorities are working hard for the promulgation of the rules. So for the 59 items under 24 points, the localities are also implementing some rules. I just brief you on the national progress. Local governments, with reference to the FIEs in their regions, they're also promoting related policies. The quality and results of the implementation of the 24-point guidelines, and I think in this regard the FIEs have the most say. We also, through questionnaires and meetings, we learn about the feedback of the FIEs to see the results and progress of the implementation. Through the questionnaires and meetings, we have learned that over 90% of the FIEs have positive feedback. Of course, there are also lots of comments and expectations. We take them very seriously and will push them forward. Moving forward, MOFCOM will continue to advance the accelerated implementation of these measures and timely share progress in issues of concern for FIEs, including government procurement, standard setting, and investment facilitation. So if FIEs meet with any issues and difficulties, you're welcome to approach MOFCOM's Special Task Force for Key Foreign Invested Projects and also the roundtables for foreign invested enterprises and the online system for collecting and handling FIE issues and requests. So we at least have these 3 channels to hear your requests and issues for us to push for the resolution of the issues and the implementation of related measures. Thank you. Thank you for your question. The first row. Thank you. South China Daily. In 2023, RCEP came into full force, and China also signed FTAs with the many countries, enlarging the circle of FTA partners. So in terms of FTA development, what achievements has China made? Moving forward, what measures will China take to promote the development of high-standard FTA? FTA development. Vice Minister Wang Shouwen, please. Thank you for your question. In his report to the 20th CPC National Congress, General Secretary Xi Jinping called for expanded high-standard FTA network that is global-oriented, according to the decisions and plans of the CPC Central Committee. MOFCOM has been very resolute in the implementation. Last year, we took measures, and our work was effective. Like Minister Wang Wentao said, in 2023, in terms of the negotiating and signing of FTAs, we created a new record. Our newly signed FTAs reached 4 in number, with Ecuador, Nicaragua, and Serbia. We also signed a protocol on upgrading FTA with Singapore. And we also completed the early harvest negotiations with Honduras for FTA. So far, we have signed 22 FTAs with the 29 countries and regions, which cover a third of China's foreign trade value. Besides, in terms of contents and high standards, we also made new headway with increasing levels. For example, in our FTAs with Nicaragua and also the upgraded FTA with Singapore, we made high-standard commitments on services trade and investment in the form of negative list, a first in our FTA negotiations. Besides, in our FTA negotiations, standards cooperation and digital trade documents have become new staples of FTA negotiations. You mentioned RCEP. It is definitely noteworthy. Since its entry into force 2 years ago, RCEP has continuously released dividends and tangible benefits for our trading partners and businesses. Last year, our total imports and exports with the other 14 RCEP members reached 12.6 trillion RMB, up by 5.3% from the 2021 level prior to the entry into force of RCEP. And breakdown, China's exports to other RCEP members were up by 16.6%, 4.6 percentage points higher than China's global export growth over the same period. It is noteworthy that, as you all know, China's exports of new energy vehicles, lithium batteries, and PV products performed brilliantly. In terms of tariff reductions last year, Chinese businesses enjoyed 2.36 billion RMB in reduced tariffs from RCEP members. At the same time, importing businesses of RCEP members enjoyed 4.05 billion RMB in reduced tariffs from their imports from China. So such mutual benefits were very pronounced. We also helped localities, industries, and businesses to better access the benefits of RCEP. At the same time, we also worked actively for our accession to the CPTPP and deeper Digital Economic Partnership Agreement. In August 2022, the China Accession Working Group was established. So far, we have completed some 10 rounds of ministerial, DG level, and technical consultations. Minister Wang Wentao and ministers of DEPA had very full exchanges. In terms of deeper negotiations, we have completed the preliminary discussions on all articles. So this year, our FTA negotiating agenda is even fuller. We will work to complete the negotiations of China-ASEAN FTA 3.0 next week. We will hold the talks in Hangzhou. We will also complete the FTA negotiations and upgrade negotiations with Honduras and Peru, and continue to work to advance our accession to CPTPP and deeper. As you all know, we will continue to advance FTA negotiations or FTA upgrade negotiations with the GCC, New Zealand, Korea, and Switzerland to further implement the requirement of the report to the 20th CPC National Congress. In terms of high standards, we will also add some new elements, including enhancing the percentage of duty-free goods in trading goods, and promote the expanded liberalization of trading services and investment in the form of negative list, and also expand liberalization of services such as telecommunications and healthcare services. We will also widen access for digital products, and also digital economy, green economy, and standard recognition. These high-standard economic and trade rules will also be included in our new FTA negotiations. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Next question. The lady in the third row. Thank you. CCTV. We've noted at the National Commerce World Conference, the MOFCOM set forth to promote consumption following the lead of Consumption Promotion Year. Could you elaborate?
Thank you. Let me take your question. Thank you for your attention to commerce work, in particular consumption promotion. So let me briefly talk about what we are going to do this year to pursue sustained consumption expansion. Last year, we have held a series of activities to reinvigorate consumption with fruitful outcomes. This year, our focus will be sustained expansion and recover the market. That is why we will designate this year as consumption promotion, the year of consumption promotion. And our focus will be sustained expansion. We will work with relevant authorities and local governments to hold the consumption promotion activities, foster an enabling atmosphere, and provide diverse consumption choices. With regard to festivals and seasons, we will combine traditional festivals, public holidays, and other consumption seasons to hold activities such as Chinese New Year Online Shopping Festival, E-commerce Harvest Festival, and Ice and Snow Shopping Season. I would also like to guide your attention to the ongoing Chinese New Year Online Shopping Festival. With regard to local characteristics, we will instruct and support local governments in exploring their own advantages and local customs to grow signature brands such as Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei Consumption Season, May the 5th Shopping Festival in Shanghai, Consumption in Zhejiang, and Enjoy Chongqing, among other locally characteristic consumption brands. Second, we will advance trade-in and replacement of automobiles and household appliances. The focus of China's automobile and home appliance markets has shifted from increment only to both increment and stock. In 2023, there were 340 million cars on the road, and 2.7 billion fridges, washing machines, air conditioners, and other household appliances in people's homes. They represent huge demand and potential for replacement and upgrading. Some of them may have been in use for more than 20 years. At the same time, we should be aware that trading and replacement of automobiles, home appliances, and other consumer goods is a systemic work requiring collaboration of producers, suppliers, and distributors, of upstreams and downstreams, of the government, business society, and of online and real-world distribution channels. We will step up support and instruction from the perspective of higher technical, energy, and emission standards to overcome bottlenecks of replacement while stabilizing and expanding traditional consumption in order to better meet the need of upgrading and replacement of consumer products, all on the basis of the voluntary choices of consumers. Third, we will promote the consumption of trending domestic brands. Quality domestic brands reflect the national spirit and the best of traditional culture, while trending products represent the latest developments in quality consumption. The two merging forces has given birth to new highlights in people's lives and consumption. MOFCOM will keep close track of the consumption of trending domestic brands, and we have done some work in this regard. Starting from 2006, we have launched the certification of China time-honored brands. Last year, we optimized the dynamic administration mechanism that awards and revokes certifications, while removing brands that have long been ill-managed. We plan to certify more than 300 new China time-honored brands. Many of them are household names that have adapted to the latest needs and trends of customization and personalization, and rolled out trending products that are very popular among consumers, especially the youngsters. This year, we will also hold the time-honored brand carnival and host a time-honored brand digital library to advance protection, promotion, and innovation of time-honored brands, to build a cultural and a business basis for the consumption of trending domestic brands. Fourth, we will continue to optimize the consumption environment. Given the disparity between urban and rural consumption environments and distribution facilities, we will work to improve distribution efficiency, reduce logistical costs, and optimize the environment. In urban areas, we will build international consumption center cities, optimize an urban business system based on pedestrian shopping streets, smart business circles, and community service circles to empower urban consumption. In rural areas, we will launch the 3-year county commerce campaign, and bolster weak links, and build a rural distribution network featuring complete facilities and a smooth flow of industrial products to rural areas and agricultural products to urban areas to support rural consumption and unleash potential there. Thank you. Thank you for your question.
这边第3排这位记者。
谢谢主持人，是 CNBC 记者提问。
Thank you from CNBC.
2023年，中国净外资规模
In 2023,
主要是什么
FDI in China
今年
decreased. What are the reasons behind that?
更多外资会采
What
取
measures will MOFCOM take to attract more foreign investment, and what are the areas of focus? Thank you. Thank you. It is a topic of wide attention, and let me try to provide a detailed answer. Media here in China and around the world have paid very close attention to fluctuations in China's FDI attraction. Before moving on to statistics, I would like to show some perspectives. On this topic, we should view and analyze from multiple angles. Just as Premier Li Qiang said at the World Economic Forum annual meeting, to look at the Chinese economy, one has to broaden the vision and take a panoramic view to see the whole picture in an objective and comprehensive manner. And I will also answer your question from that perspective. Historically speaking, China's FDI attraction has been at a record level in recent years. Last year, actual utilization of FDI in China was 163.25 billion US dollars, or 1.13 trillion RMB. Despite a year-on-year decrease, in longer terms, that amount was only lower than in 2021 and 2022. The number last year was the third highest on record. Structurally speaking, which is an important aspect to analyze FDI quality, there were also continuous optimizations. High-tech sectors accounted for 37.4% of FDI attraction, up 1.3 percentage points from 2022, which was a record high. The manufacturing sector accounted for 27.9%, up 1.6 percentage points. Foreign invested projects, especially major projects, would affect overall FDI performance with regard to specific countries of origin and the ranking of those countries. By country, last year, direct investment by Canada, the UK, France, Switzerland, the Netherlands, and other developed countries grew drastically, and EU, US, and Japanese investors established more new FIEs in China last year. Fluctuations in FDI statistics are normal phenomena that is in line with economic laws. In longer terms, the fundamentals of the Chinese economy has remained unchanged. Particularly, China is committed to the basic national policy of opening up. We always open our arms to businesses from around the world to invest in China, and we firmly believe that China will continue to be a popular destination of foreign investors. Last year, following the instructions of the CPC Central Committee, MOFCOM launched Invest in China year business promotion activities. We have also held business promotion activities and saw the signing of a large number of projects. We've also addressed a number of issues. We established roundtables for FIEs. Last year, my colleagues and I hosted 15 roundtables, which were attended by more than 400 foreign investment enterprises and foreign chambers of commerce. On those occasions, we learned face-to-face the problems and needs of the FIEs and helped them to address them. Many FIEs say that through these activities, they feel the commitment of the Chinese government to greater opening up and the practical and efficient working style. And therefore, they are more confident in the Chinese market and the Chinese economy. Many FIEs also said that the next China is still China. They will continue to select China and deepen their footprints here. On that basis, this year, we will work to promote the brand of Invest in China. This year, we will hold more than 20 investment promotion activities, home and abroad, including one signature event that is Invest in China 2024 Summit, and 10 overseas activities and 12 domestic activities. Under the brand of Invest in China, we will also have supporting activities reflecting different resource endowments and industrial competitiveness to make concerted efforts nationwide. Many of you may have reported on the series event under Invest in China year. We would like to have your further attention to our activities this year. Also, I'd like to thank you for increasing the influence of these activities. As we build the brand of Invest in China, we will also continue to implement the 24-point policies, expand foreign investment access, optimize foreign investment environment, and make good use of roundtables for FIEs and FIE complaint system. Another note on the roundtables, it is now a mechanism held monthly by different sectors and countries and regions and chambers of commerce. So this year, we will hold these roundtables monthly, so at least 12 roundtables this year. The roundtables will be a platform for candid communication and practical exchanges between us and FIEs, and they will help FIEs invest here in China with greater assurance. Just now, one of you mentioned Japanese businesses. Yesterday, we received a Japanese business delegation at our ministry. I told them that we are ready to help them better operate here in China, not only for Japanese companies, but also for all businesses from around the world. So that the next China is still going to be China. Thank you. Next question. The lady from the third row. Thank you. From Hong Kong, Bohemia. At the third Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation, President Xi Jinping announced 8 major steps of China to advance high-quality Belt and Road cooperation. What measures will MOFCOM take to deepen mutually beneficial cooperation with Belt and Road partners?
Thank you for your question. Last October, the third Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation was held successfully in Beijing. President Xi announced 8 major steps in his speech China will take to support high-quality Belt and Road cooperation, which charted the course and providing the fundamental guidelines for the high-quality Belt and Road cooperation in a new stage. MOFCOM has worked with all parties to keep deepening Belt and Road cooperation, with new progress and outcomes being made. Trade volume has steadily expanded. Last year, the total value of trading goods between China and Belt and Road partner countries increased by 2.8% to 19.5 trillion yuan, accounting for 46.6% of China's total foreign trade. The non-financial direct investment made by Chinese enterprises in Belt and Road partner countries totaled 224.09 billion yuan, up by 28.4%. The turnover of China's completed contracted projects in these countries reached over 900 billion yuan, up by 9.8%. The quality of cooperation is improving. The turnover of the completed contracted projects in energy saving and environmental protection grew by 28.3%. A series of landmark projects and small yet smart projects are proceeding smoothly. China provided assistance for nearly 700 projects in these countries. Cooperation becomes even closer. During the third BRF, the thematic forum on trade and connectivity was successfully held, which witnessed the release of the Initiative on International Trade and Economic Cooperation Framework for Digital Economy and Green Development by China and 30-plus countries. Last year, we signed 23 investment cooperation MOUs on green, digital, and blue economy, trade connectivity working groups, and have been set up with 22 Belt and Road partner countries, investment cooperation working groups with 55, and the number of Silk Road e-commerce partner countries increased to 30. We will continue to follow through the spirit of President Xi's important speech and focus on implementing the 8 major steps to enhance business cooperation and deliver fruitful results in the following areas. First, we will deepen trade and investment cooperation on trade. As Minister Wang Wentao already mentioned, we will continue to expand imports of more quality goods from partner countries to ensure balanced development of trade. We will expand service trade and give more play to the trade channels such as the China Railway Express and the new international land-sea trade corridor. On investment, as Minister Wang Wentao already shared with you our considerations, we will build the brand Invest in China and provide premium environment and services for investors from partner countries. In the meantime, we will encourage businesses to pursue new ways of outbound investment, including expanding tripartite or multi-party market cooperation and working for upgrading of trade and economic cooperation zones in these countries. Second, we will deepen cooperation on projects. We'll press ahead with landmark projects and small yet smart projects for people's well-being, strengthen communication with partner countries, and ensure infrastructure cooperation, including energy, railroads, roads, ports, and communications, and build a multidimensional Belt and Road connectivity network. We will focus on health, education, environmental protection, and poverty reduction, launch more projects that bring benefits to the local economy and people, and give a boost to the local economic and social development. Third, we will deepen cooperation in emerging areas. On green development, we will pursue Green Belt and Road cooperation, sign MOUs on investment cooperation in green sectors, and encourage businesses to deepen practical cooperation on green infrastructure, green energy, and green transportation. On digital sector, we will expand Silk Road e-commerce cooperation and hold a successful third Global Digital Trade Expo. Fourth, we will deepen the implementation of cooperation outcomes, and we will implement the outcomes of the third BRF on trade and economic fronts and carry out the initiative on international trade and economic cooperation framework for digital economy and green development. We will build a pioneering zone for China-Africa in-depth trade and economic cooperation and create the demonstration zones for innovative trade and economic development with ASEAN countries. And we will negotiate and upgrade FTAs and investment protection agreements with more partner countries to provide effective institutional guarantees.
Good afternoon. Market News International. In 2024, does the Ministry of Commerce expect any progress in China's application to join the CPTPP? And what new measures will the Ministry of Commerce take this year to support China's application? Thank you.
请翻译一下。
美国国际市场新闻社记者提问：2024年，商务部预期中国加入 CPTPP 的申请将有何进展？今年将采取什么措施来推进加入进程？
这个问题啊，请我的同事
I'd like to ask Minister Wang Shouwen to take your question.
谢谢你的提问。
Thank you for your question.
这个对中国加入 CPTPP 这件事呢，我们非常
On
重视。
China's joining the CPTPP, we take this very seriously.
对 CPTPP 的所有的条款进行了
We have had
全面的
full
深入的评估。
in-depth research and evaluation of the agreement based on the comments of many ministries and businesses. We have already taken stock of the rules related to trade and investment, and our conclusion is that we have full confidence in and capability of reaching the high standards of the CPTPP. So we are confident and we are capable of reaching the high standard agreement. Last year, we prepared a special communication paper for China's accession to the CPTPP. Regarding the obligations for China, we provide detailed introduction and explanation to the CPTPP members in the communication paper. You asked about this year, what measures will we take? I think first we will continue to maintain the communication with the CPTPP members at all levels. We will leverage APEC, G20, and other multinational or multilateral forums to enhance in-depth communication and exchanges with these members. And second, and I think you already noted that in 2023, according to the plans of the CPC Central Committee, we benchmarked with high-standard international trade and economic rules, including the CPTPP agreement. We introduced two important documents. The first is the several measures on piloting high-standard international rules and advancing high-quality opening up in eligible pilot free trade zones and free trade port. The second is the general plan for advancing high-level institutional opening up of China-Shanghai pilot free trade zone in line with high-standard international trade and economic rules. We take the initiative to benchmark with the high-standard international rules and draft our own measures to advance opening up. If we see good results from those measures, we will replicate and scale those measures nationwide or at a wider scope. So we will continue to step up the experiment in those pilot zones. So if you ask my opinion, I think this year the conditions are more ripe for us to join the CPTPP. Thank you for your question. Thank you from Phoenix TV. The summit between Chinese and American presidents ushered in a San Francisco vision, charting the course for the development of China-U.S. relations. We also noted that MOFCOM and the Department of Commerce of the U.S. established a communication mechanism. What's your view on the development of China-U.S. trade relations?
Thank you. Let me take your question. Let me start with the larger picture. The year 2024 marks the 45th anniversary of diplomatic relations between China and the U.S. Over the past 4.5 decades, our bilateral trade and economic relations have seen strong development. Our bilateral trade increased by more than 200 times over the past 45 years. Our two-way investment amounted to over $260 billion, and more than 70,000 U.S. businesses are investing in China. As the world's largest developing country and the largest developed country, respectively, China and the U.S. are important trading partners to each other. Both have seen rapid growth in trade and investment and close integration of industrial supply chains. Our trade and economic cooperation has expanded from trade to various economic fields, contributing significantly to economic and social progress and improvements of people's livelihood in our countries. Last year, President Xi Jinping and President Joe Biden had a meeting in San Francisco, ushering in a future-oriented San Francisco vision and strengthened confidence and expectations for our business communities for greater trade and economic cooperation and charting the course for our bilateral trade and economic relations. We believe that China and the U.S. have far more common interests than differences in trade and economic fields. Our two sides should strengthen dialogue and communication and work to help our businesses address problems they encounter in practical trade and economic cooperation and tap into the potential of trade and economic cooperation. Many of our businesses, particularly U.S. businesses, have voiced their concerns, saying that the greatest concern for them is China-U.S. relations And the biggest political risk for them is China-US relations. And they hoped that I could convey their message to my US counterparts. There are also other outstanding issues, including additional tariffs that escalate costs, two-way investment restrictions, including outbound investment and investment in the US that bar market access, and uncertainties arising from ungrounded sanctions on themselves and their business partners, and subsequently higher compliance costs and dampened operation outlooks. These are all issues we need to take stock of, and issues we need to work together to address. We have the willingness to and the responsibility to address the issues encountered by our businesses. In the next step, China is ready to work with the U.S. to implement our leaders' consensus at their San Francisco summit and leverage our Commerce Ministry's communication mechanisms, including dialogues between ministers, vice ministerial meetings twice per year, which is initiated by Vice Minister Wang Wentao on the Chinese side, monthly DG-level consultation, and an export control information exchange to maintain regular communication, properly handle differences, advance and enhance mutual trust, promote practical cooperation, and foster stable expectations and enabling environments for our businesses. Thank you. In the interest of time, the last question.
谢谢发言人。南方都市报记者提问：2023年中国的跨境电商进出口继续保持着快速的增长，具体呈现哪些特点？中央经济工作会议也强调要拓展跨境电商出口，商务部在新的一年对此还会开展哪些具体的工作？谢谢。
In 2023, China's cross-border e-commerce trade continued rapid growth. What will MOFCOM do in 2024 to advance this area?
谢谢你的提问。
Thank you for your question. General Secretary Xi Jinping emphasizes that we need to pay attention to the development of cross-border e-commerce as well as other new business types and models in foreign trade. Cross-border e-commerce is one of the new drivers for foreign trade. Minister Wang Wentao said just now that last year our foreign trade posted positive growth. And in breakdown as a new driver of foreign trade, cross-border e-commerce played a critical role. And in terms of scale, last year, China's cross-border e-commerce imports and exports reached 2.38 trillion RMB, up 15.6%. 15.4 percentage points higher than the national overall growth. Besides, in terms of new dynamism, cross-border e-commerce entities have been growing in size. According to our statistics, there are about 645,000 foreign trade entities with foreign trade records in China. And more than 100,000 of them are cross-border e-commerce operators. So this is a force to be reckoned with. Especially in terms of cross-border e-commerce, our ecosystem keeps optimizing. Cross-border e-commerce platforms, we used to know that there were lots of famous US platforms, but now, in China, we also have lots of strong and quality cross-border e-commerce platforms. And they also have the world's largest app downloads. We have mature platforms. We also have overseas warehouses. As of the end of last year, there were 1,800 overseas warehouses, an increase of 200 from the level of 2022. Cross-border e-commerce needs rapid development. As of the end of November last year, we had 255 full cargo jets, an increase of 32 from the level of 2022. So cross-border e-commerce ecosystem kept improving. And fourth, our branding was enhanced. For example, the beauty of cross-border e-commerce is to cut out the middleman and can work directly with the Chinese brands to deliver to end consumers overseas. As of the end of the last year, there were more than 30,000 overseas registered e-commerce brands, compared to 20,000 at the end of 2022. This year, we will continue to foster the new driver of cross-border e-commerce with the following measures. First, we want to introduce a policy called the several measures to explore cross-border e-commerce exports and promote the development of overseas warehousing. Second, we will develop cross-border e-commerce plus industrial belt, encourage traditional foreign trading businesses to transform into cross-border e-commerce. We support leading companies to drive the coordinated development with upstream, downstream industrial chains. We will draw upon the local cross-border e-commerce industrial parks to incubate more quality startups. And third, we will strengthen industrial exchange and training. Yesterday in Shenzhen, we organized an on-site meeting for cross-border e-commerce overseas warehousing. We invited governments, industry representatives, as well as the representatives of cross-border e-commerce operators and platform businesses and overseas warehousing businesses. And this year we are going to step up training activities to offer 100,000 training places. Fourth, we will also introduce the guidelines for intellectual property protection for cross-border e-commerce. So in the course of cross-border e-commerce development, we want to ensure for the first mile, last mile, overseas warehousing, payment and marketing, intellectual property can be respected and protected throughout the process. Vice Minister Guo mentioned Belt and Road cooperation. Cross-border e-commerce is a very important part of Belt and Road cooperation between China and partner countries. We will support international exchange and cooperation on cross-border e-commerce comprehensive demonstration zone and Silk Road e-commerce cooperation pilot zone. So we believe that this year, as the new driver of foreign trade, cross-border e-commerce will play a better role. Thank you. Thank you to ministers and thank you to the press. This concludes today's press conference. Thank you.